Welcome to the Jew York Times, a special episode today. I'm joined by Sami Sage, co-founder of Betches.
Co-founder and founder.
I will say one of my favorite voices online when it comes to Jewish. Over the past 2 years, I think the Jewish community has gone insane online, and I think that there's a few moderate's even like the wrong term.
It's not really the right. It's more like nuanced, not insane.
Yeah, it's
like I refuse to give in to the
either side's narratives. My entire theory has always been that 95% of people wanted hostage releases and ceasefire. Most people just wanted everyone to calm down and for us to like move on. 2.5% of the loudest people on both sides who wanted everything to keep on going, their entire job was to split everybody. And because of that, the largest, most viewed, supported financially on both sides people were the ones that were out there to sow division. Then there's people like you who I do think have done a pretty good job at being in the middle and like explaining how the Israelis are fucking up and how the Palestinian side is fucking up and how everyone is fucking up and being fair and honest about how everyone is fucking up.
Well, thank you. I mean, I haven't even gotten into like everything because it's too much. And I also think that there's everything that, well, I don't want to say everything, but most allegations made by each side against the other have some truth to them. Yeah. If not, they are completely true, but they do not tell the whole story.
Yes.
And nothing does, because this is, people hate when you say, oh, it's complicated, but I'm like, but nothing in the world isn't complicated.
Totally.
Like, would you look at anything in the world and be like, nope, I understand that completely. I understand exactly how we got here. Like, why is it that this thing? Yeah,
aside from the Mets, I can't really do that.
But could anyone do that? Like I think this resistance to like acknowledging that things are not as simple as a slogan or as a set of taglines is really important. And I think that I really hate when I really try to not speak in like canards. Like when people just kind of repeat the same. Like I'll think of one, it'll come to me. Like I don't know. Whatever. One will come to me and I'm like, can you, like, the fact that you can't come up with a more unique way to explain this or to say it, just to me indicates that you haven't really given this much thought and you're just trying to add your voice to the echo.
Yeah. And these people are in areas where they're not getting asked a second or third question about the thing that they're saying. They're just saying the thing and everyone's like, yeah, great point. That's exactly what I was kind of thinking. Yeah. I think one of the most recent versions of what you said, and I don't have an answer to this still because I've been actually trying to figure this out. Hostages got out, even though I wanted them to stay. No, hostages got out. Unlike BB, hostages got out, right? And 20 live hostages, and then the bodies, they're coming back, and obviously, it's been a little bit more complicated of a situation. But when the hostages got out, there was a story that we released, that Israel had released, I think it was like 1,600, 2,000 prisoners in exchange for that. And depending on the side, it was either 2,000. It was either 2,000 innocent women or children, or 2,000 hardened murderers who each of them had at some point killed a Jewish baby. And the answer is that
it's
they're
neither
both accurate.
Yeah. Neither is accurate about the whole thing. It's like
Israel doesn't exist at all.
Right.
On TV.
Look, you guys finished. You finished. It's already done. Yeah. I'm sure there were definitely people who had killed Jews for whatever reason. I don't know every detail, but there were 100% people among that. And there were, I suspect, quite a few people caught up in that who had not necessarily deserved to be in that situation. And even if they did deserve to be prisoners, the way that some of these people were treated was not deserved or okay from a country that wants to call itself a democracy or have any sort of humanitarian standards. Because this is where I kind of always go with it. It's like, once you destroy the idea that we have to respect each other, and I mean respect is in not kill out of, just willy-nilly, not just hate because we hate. Once you throw that idea out the window, why do you care? Why do you expect that anyone wouldn't want to kill you? That's what I think about this with a lot of things. I think about this with Luigi Mangione. It's okay, well, if you think you just get to decide to kill this guy, then then what are you arguing with him about?
Yeah.
Totally. That's your claim against him.
Yeah.
And then you do, I don't think, look, I don't defend any of that. The health insurance situation's fucked up. I don't think they're fixed. This didn't fix it, though.
We're sponsored by Metro Health, okay? So you can talk about any insurance except for Metro.
Great.
Yeah.
No, but it's it didn't get fixed by shooting him. It's it's worse. The system
Well,
is.
Did it not? Okay, let me just say this is an anti-Luigi, I don't like it. I also think that a lot of times these structures, if you look at like the people that were so gung-ho about it, it just happened to be the same people that were like a little bit more conspiracy focused on the Jews. And I think that was like an underlying thing where I don't think that was the main cause, but it definitely was like an icky, like, it's this.
Well, like assassination culture.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, look, I agree. I actually, what you're speaking to is not like, I think it speaks to the way that people are sorted into algorithms by their like by certain psychographic traits, that it's like you kind of just buy into this line of thinking or you buy into like this other line of thinking.
Yeah.
And the algorithms know how to hook you. And it's sort of each really big moment like that, whether it's Luigi or whether it's Taylor Swift's engagement, just further entrenches people into this like way of thinking, kind of.
Would you have been okay if Taylor Swift celebrated her engagement by murdering the CEO of Anthem? Look to the camera and answer.
No.
Look at that.
No, look, I can't look, even murder by Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Unless it's in a song.
There you go. You know what? If I'm at the end of my life and I'm like really, really like I got 5 minutes left, if Taylor wants to pull the plug, I'll let Taylor pull the plug. I think that'd be kind of nice.
I mean, that is, your own choice.
Yeah. I will say just on the Luigi thing though, is that things didn't get like, there are all those stories. Once again, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but there's all those stories about how like, United was a little bit more open towards like approving certain medications and had gotten faster back to people. And like, there have been other insurance companies that have been like, hey, maybe we should.
And they got sued for that.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah, they got sued by their shareholders. I believe it was led by BlackRock or Blackstone, one of those, that because they were mad that they lost money because of that. And also because of how the company had represented it. So yeah, they got sued for doing that.
That's pretty funny.
But I also don't think they like directed them to do that. I think it was more like, the people working there are probably like, oh, maybe I'll just be a little more lenient, because they get, it means something. It's a big deal.
If I had to make internal change in a place, I would always go for the secretaries and the people that are like on the front facing, the ones who are just like, you didn't hear it from me. Mr. Incredible from The Incredibles. Yeah. Being like, you didn't hear it from me, but like Agnes on the 5th floor, go to her. She's the one that knows how to file a T-68.
Well, that's what's interesting. It's like, I think, people talk about like none of this would work. None of this would function if not for just people being too vulnerable to have to, they have to keep doing their jobs.
Totally.
But I think none of this would really like function if not for this exploitation.
No, definitely.
Of people who need to be, supporting themselves.
First
and that's
question.
why you have so many angry people.
Yes. Everyone's angry right now.
Oh, yeah. Our greatest export.
I mean, today,
anger and grievance.
We're sending it all over the place. Actually, that's actually pretty accurate. If you look at the amount of dictators that have like risen over the past couple of years, and they're all Trump modeled. Yep. In fact, they're now at a point during Trump too, they're coming here and they're like doing literal impersonations of him at his like functions just for him to go like, yes, very nice, very nice.
Yeah, we used to export culture and McDonald's, and now we export Donald Trump's literally and corruption, basically.
I'm cool.
Don't I sound fun?
I mean, we gotta if we're exporting the corruption, that means we have our hands in it. And is it better not to get drunk inside our parents' house rather than to go out and get drunk alone?
Well, here's the thing. If you look, as Jews, people think we run the world, right? Okay.
Slightly.
I don't feel like I'm getting like I don't feel like I'm running. I don't feel like it's going the way I would want.
Yeah.
If I were running it.
If you were running it, how would it be going?
Much better.
Much better. Okay.
Well, this is the thing. People are, we've solved so many problems as a country.
Yeah.
And we can actually fix all the problems or many of the problems that we have. It's just not a priority. It's just not to distribute. It's just not like distributed. Like there's enough money to feed there's enough food to feed everyone.
Yes.
There's actually enough space to have houses. There's enough, there's enough money to just like for people to not have to like scrimp and save while you have, Elon Musk going and Jeff Bezos and his wife going to the space, going very high up. They didn't go to space. Yeah. It's like literally. It's we have all the answers. Like AIDS was cured. In our lifetimes.
I mean, I'll even go for it. I'll double this. Yeah. We can feed everyone and bomb the Venezuelans. We can do both. There's enough money to go around. And I think if that's how it's presented, then I think that's not a crazy thing.
Look, I'm not super into the idea of bombing with Venezuelans because I don't know what they're doing. Like, I don't see what they're doing wrong.
It's actually pretty funny because it did feel like one of the sloppiest distractions where after the hostages got out, there was like a little bit of an empty void of stuff. And I do feel like Trump was like, hey, what about this? And everyone was like, actually, we don't give a crap about the Venezuelans. And it didn't stick. He thought that it was going to stick a lot harder. And I now think that Pete Hegseth is stuck carrying it out, because he was given this thing, and it's kind of like when you're at a project. I used to work at Cheddar, the business news network, right? Sucked. Absolutely, it was garbage. I hated that place. And at one point, they had me making a show for Snapchat. Now,
my God.
Let me tell you, the first week of that show, I'm like, yeah, this is going great. And then 4 months into this thing, it's a disaster. And that's what Pete Hegseth, I think, is going through right now, where he was handed this Venezuelan thing, and now they're just like, it didn't stick, but he's just in charge of it still.
You know what? If I were Pete Hegseth and I didn't really want to do this, what I would do is I would send Trump like AI videos of just random boats getting blown up. Like, we don't need to do this. Like, he can think that they were.
I wrote
we could Truman show him.
I'm not even joking. I wrote a spec script about literally the idea is that there was a Trump-esque president. I wrote this in the beginning of the pandemic, so obviously
he was,
but there was a Trump-esque president, and the question was if everyone in the office knew that he was doing a bad job, they can have the vice president be running the country, and then they just tell him that he's doing that stuff, and they just feed him video of like, oh, look, we're at war with it, and they just yes-and him and let him do whatever, but they just keep on showing him video of everything, and they build a second White House next to the regular White House, and he has no idea, and he thinks he's running the country. Yeah.
See, yes, I love that idea. I had another similar idea. You know how everyone in Congress is really fucking old?
Yeah.
So I thought they should start the Congressional Retirement Home. And you take all the really olds and you like put them in fake Congress. And they like get to pass bills and they get to like have staff. But it's all just sort of run so that they can like think that they're still there. But we've replaced them already.
Yeah, like, that's beautiful.
Right?
You give them like something. You know what it is? Give all of one sector to them and let them just handle it. Like I would say give them like the busing.
They don't
like
even have to really do anything.
School buses in Sacramento.
They can pretend. They don't even have to do that.
You know what? That's right. Just pretend. Okay,
we're not gonna put these Sacramento people through this. They just think they're doing stuff. They think they're still doing everything.
If immediately Sacramento bus takes on a $50 billion debt.
Yeah, like they think that they're doing stuff. They're just in like Truman Show.
Yeah.
You know, let's get you to bed, Grandma. Yeah.
Here we go. Wait, I have questions to ask.
Okay.
First question here. You're a journalist.
Kind of.
Was there kosher food on Epstein's island?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I've never heard anything about that.
This is a genuine question that I had.
Yeah.
If you look at the amount of people that went to Epstein's island, there's a lot of people out there that are, no offense, most of us did not go to Epstein's island.
Do you know the term Hillel Hashem?
Yeah, Hillel, yeah.
Okay, I think we need to publicize this.
Even though you said it like a goy.
Sorry, look, you don't want me to Hillel Hashem.
Yeah.
Okay, do people know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, so
explain to the
okay, it just basically means like a Jew who brings really like, what is the opposite like of bringing glory? Like,
it's a negative thing.
You make Jews look really bad. So like Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, they're like Hillel Hashem.
Orthodox Jews on airplanes.
Yes.
And I say that as someone who I'm allowed to say it. I don't know about your relationship.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
These are all Jeffrey Epstein, Hillel Hashem.
The settlers doing the shit in the West Bank. That's a great example.
Yes.
The people, whatever. We're not going to go into that right now.
My Super Sweet 16.
Yes.
A lot of Hillel Hashem happening on Super Sweet 16. Yeah.
Yes. We can go into the opposite, a Kiddush Hashem, which is like being good, like being a good reflection on Jews. You know what I mean? It's really not complicated. But Jonathan Greenblatt.
Yes.
Hillel Hashem.
Yeah, Hillel Hashem. That's where I'm going to next with this.
Okay, good. So, yes, well, Epstein,
Epstein, that was the thing that
Big
happened today,
Hillel
only
Hashem.
because it's just on everyone's brain because they had all the email stuff that came out there.
Yes. I'm going through the emails, like, I had to tear myself away to come here. Oh my God, they're fucking crazy. Like, insane. We can do that in a minute.
Yeah,
keep going.
No, but that was my question. But that was Epstein happened today. The only reason I wasn't even planning on bringing this up, but literally, as I was walking here, I'm on my YouTube. It's just this over and over and over. And as beginning of the emails. You, like I said, are an actual journalist. The kosher food question was a joke.
That.
You're my Barbara Walters.
Thank you.
You're my what's it called? And the other guy, Bernstein and
Woodward.
Yes,
I like that. Appreciate that. No, I. This is the thing. There is so much in there. There's no mention of kosher food that I've seen. I've also not ever seen it. There's no like rabbis. Like there's no one.
That'd be bad if Chabad was
there's
there.
Israel, like there's definitely Israel conversation in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like world freelance diplomacy. It's not just Israel. It's like all these different countries. They were like playing pawns with them. It was very very revealing.
What's said about Israel in the emails?
Like there's a million different conversations. Okay. It's like they'll talk about foreign policy. He was meeting with Ehud Barak, who was Bill Hillel Hashem. It's
Epstein was. So Epstein was meeting with just like people
Ehud Barak.
And
Virginia Giuffre, she said Ehud Barak like almost killed her.
Wait, really?
Like by how badly he like assaulted her when Epstein trafficked her to him.
Wait, in the emails?
That's not in the emails. That's in her book, which I also read. Yeah,
that did not make it to any news sphere.
It did. If you're it probably did. You're just not getting fed. It's probably not getting fed to you. That was actually a few months ago. That was like a month ago because it was in her book, which came out about a month ago.
I completely missed that.
There's so much. If you don't like, if you get off the phone for a minute, you will miss like so much of it.
Yeah,
but it's everything.
Do you think so? Like, obviously, there's the conspiracy theories out there about like Israel's tie-in and stuff like that.
Yeah,
is the Israel tie-in a justified tie-in, or is it people just like seeing Israel once?
No, it is justified.
It's very justified.
But like many other things, it's making it over-indexing about how much it was. No, it's not over-indexing how much is about Israel, but it's not calling into the other. Like he did the same thing for Russia.
Yeah, exactly.
He was doing the same thing for other places, and it's not like he was like only loyal to Israel. He was available to any bidder.
Yeah,
it wasn't, and that's what I think is important. It's like, yeah, he did help Israel, and but it was because of his relationship. It's like almost, it wasn't like about his loyalty to Israel.
Yeah,
it was about his relationships with people whose interests were Israel, and same with Russia and Putin, and. It's not just him. Like,
so this is what they got to say. They got to go out there and say this stuff exactly. Like, it's that same thing where it's like act like.
Well, people don't want to do that because it's much easier to be like he's a Mossad agent, and like honestly, I don't think he was any agent. He was He was like an extra national, transnational mercenary.
Also, like
I did actually a huge breakdown of this on Substack, betchesnews.substack.com. Check it out.
Check it out.
I'll send you the link if you can't find it.
He was not really Mossad-ish in that he didn't look like tall, hot, olive skin. He wasn't doing like, weird crunches. Look, crunches that look physically like no one's ever done it. If you walk Tel Aviv Beach, it's just people doing
up and
things
down.
where you're like, I didn't think that a body could do that at all.
Literally.
You ever seen futsal?
Yeah. No.
Futsal is that volleyball where you don't use your hands. And it's the Israelis play.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
But he, this is the thing. To say he's a Mossad agent implies that he had a boss.
Yeah.
Like, this man had no boss. If anything, he had liabilities.
Yeah.
The only accountability he had was basically to, like, Putin, Trump, and maybe, like, a few other people who could, like, expose him. But he had way more on everyone else.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, like Israel wasn't really, if he was helping them, it wasn't because, like, they were telling him, oh, you have to do this for us. Like, that sort of implies that he was subject to them. He wasn't subject to anybody, not even the U.S. government.
Mm. You bring up that part about over-indexing and, like, kind of over looking into
sort
something.
Unfair obsessions. Like, I posted something, like a Epstein-related carousel, and one of the things I put, like, the screenshot of the Ehud Barak email, or one of them, and someone comments like, are you really not going to mention he was a Mossad agent? And I'm like, it's like, it's not the whole thing. It's not like every single piece of information, but it's like, I literally posted in this, like, basically not implying that he's a Mossad agent, but like basically alluding to this. And then it's like, read more. Yeah. So it's like, okay, are you going to read more or not?
Is Jeffrey closer to Mossad than Mamdani is to Hamas?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Okay, go on, sorry.
yes, but it's not like Mossad. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
like he had no
He was
handler.
just a dip, but the way that you put it, just he was a guy that had money, then he met people.
He had
I'm
no
sure he had,
handler.
yeah, yeah.
There was no handler.
He had his own
He was the
business.
handler of others.
Yeah.
Like that's what like he was sort of like a clearinghouse for the transnational oligarchy. So it's not like Israel was like he had loyalty to that. He had no loyalty to anybody.
Yeah.
It wasn't like anyone was directing him. Like if anything, it was like when different diplomatic, whether it was people in Syria, Cote d'Ivoire, like
Yeah.
they had their hands in every country. I just saw an email on my way in that was like, Epstein wrote something that was like, this guy's government's going to collapse as planned. And then it collapsed like 3 hours later.
Wait, really? Which government?
I have to go.
Government.
One sec. It's let me find it. It's like they
That's
were
wild.
okay. This is it. It's all very hard to read. Okay, I will. Miro Lajak, president of the UN, will guide the EU project. If you like him, his government will fall this week as planned.
Wait, what country is that?
Okay, I'm not sure actually. But then Sultan Dubai in New York, 21-22 of I guess the month of March. So it's like he was with, he was talking to everyone, every country. It wasn't like
but there's that over.
Wait, I'll tell you where the Israel. Okay, actually, I will tell you where the like extra emphasis on Israel comes in because he kind of inherited the bit, not the like sex trafficking ring. That's really more his own thing.
Yeah.
He inherited like the arms dealing. He inherited like the arms dealing and the freelance diplomacy and the money laundering part from Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, who was also this sort of like freelance on behalf of Israel, on behalf of Russia, on behalf of MI6 and the UK. But because Robert Maxwell is Jewish or was Jewish, had this huge, I believe, first of all, they probably killed him. And that's why they gave him this huge funeral there, and he's buried on the Mount of Olives, and he's basically like documented as a Mossad agent. And because Epstein essentially inherited his diplomatic ties through Ghislaine, that's why there's this like, oh, he does have a little extra tie to Israel, but it's like that's why.
But there's so much that it would take so much nuance to explain that. And once again, like this is, we're online and there's no ability to be like, well, he inherited it, but it's not him. And, the sex trafficking stuff
but
was
it's also
him,
like, but it's also like Maxwell was also working for other people. But I think what happened, there was also like they're involved in like Iran-Contra, and like the CIA and Israel basically gave Robert Maxwell like a lot of money so that he could, and that's how he ended up like kind of buying all of his properties using that as collateral.
Nick Fuentes.
And then they wanted their money back. And that's why he like collapsed. His whole empire collapsed. And then he ends up dead like a few months later. It's like they're like, this goes back so much further to, and like things we weren't alive for. And it's like, it's so much bigger. And I actually think why we don't really have all the information, or it feels like there's such a suppression of the information, not just from people who are like in it, from people who are adjacent, is because I actually think that this puts so many people in like a really precarious situation because they're still all like in power. They're all in positions of like public trust. And I actually think if people realize like how fucked up the way it really works is and how unaccountable these people are, like I think they're afraid that like people would revolt, like institutions would crumble because everyone is not everyone, but
would it though? Because we're at a point where like this recent Epstein email like thing, first heard it and I was like, okay, interesting, and then like was reading through it, whatever, My second reaction is like, no one's going to care. Like, even if
they will.
But will they though, to a point where like Trump is not going to be able to survive this? Like,
it's not about Trump. The real concern is not really about Trump. It's about like what else is exposed here.
Okay.
Because they're exposed, like the fact that they used 14, 15, 13-year-olds to basically create blackmail on world leaders so that the U.S. and Israel could advance all these countries could advance their interests. That is a major problem, like for everyone to know.
Yeah.
Like and I just think that that's why you never see the media talk about it in those terms.
Totally.
You only ever see them talk about it in terms of like the sexual abuse. But no one talks about like, why was he doing that? It wasn't just because they liked it. They weren't just having fun.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just having fun, but there was
But why isn't it talked about then like that? Like
because
that's a way
who
more
owns,
interesting story.
Yeah, who owns the media? Like because there's like who owns who is associated with these things?
There's not enough like non-legacy media institutions out there that are able to go out there.
Well,
and
there are a
stuff.
few. I can tell you like who look at like Zev Shalev's reporting. He's been doing this for like 10 years. I assume he's Jewish, South African, I think.
Yeah.
Another Jew like us. Tara Palmieri, Julie Brown, obviously. I'm trying to think. Like, it's also a lot of it's like in books. Like Andrew Loney's new book is entitled, which is about Andrew and Sarah. They like you have to read the book.
Yeah.
You know, you have to read Virginia Giuffre's book. And like,
but good luck getting Americans to do that.
It's like, yeah, you can put the information out there. Like I've put the information out there, but like it's not the same as if the New York Times writes about it. But maybe the New York Times.
I mean, we're scooping
we're covering
My
it here.
goal is to get one big scoop on, or get to a scoop. We will get a scoop on this thing at some point.
Oh, maybe. Okay, I'll help you out.
Do you want to scoop anything? You got anything you want to scoop?
Let me think.
Second, there's a
Sometimes I know things that I'm like, oh, that should be news. And then I'm like, oh, what am I going to do with that?
Yeah. The only news I have is just people in my life where I'm like.
Gossip.
I'm like,
that's
Adam's
gossip.
moving in with Ashley. And I'm
yeah,
like, oh
exactly.
Here's, okay, wait. This is why I want to type the idea of over-indexing. Okay.
Okay, yes.
Today, there was an article, or I think yesterday was put out, about Upper East Side moms overreacting to Mom Donnie. Question is, are Jews overreacting to Mom Donnie?
I mean, that's such a general, okay, are some Jews? Yes. But it's, okay, overreacting is like not really the word that I mean. It's like, I think what people really did wrong in this election was that there was this like really reactive, very bigotry forward resistance to him. Whereas like there are legitimate questions to ask about him. There are legitimate questions he needed to be asked that I believe should have been clarified during the election and weren't.
Like what?
But like, would you rap Love to the Holy Land 5 today? What does that mean? What does that mean to you? Like questions about, what about the fact that like when people, if kids are in school and they're kind of being like made fun of for being a Zionist, like what are you going to do in that school? Like what are you going to say to like the public? Are you going to say to the schools, oh, that's actually not discrimination, that's not anti-Semitism? If the people say, oh, are you saying something to them because they're a Zionist or a Jew? Like there's the way that it comes into people's lives beyond like the amount of security for a synagogue is important. Yeah. Like, let's say there is an attack that was like what happened in DC where the person screamed free Palestine and then killed 2 people in a Jewish space, not an Israeli space. It was a Jewish museum. You didn't know who those people, he didn't know who those people were. They happened to be like is part of the Israeli embassy, but he didn't know that. And so when if something like that happened here, what would you say about that incident? Like, do you plan to distinguish between like dangerously weaponized activism in the name of Palestinian liberation, or do you plan to like just ignore that? Yeah. Because it affects a lot of people, whether or not they identify as Zionists. And like, I think that's the conversation that like maybe I would like to have.
Well, we couldn't have it because we were trying to figure out if he was a jihadist or not. And that was the problem, was that the one question I always ask him is, why is there such a problem with unchecked anti-Semitic hate crime in your section, in like the progressive section? Just why do you think, and then what's the plan to kind of calm it down a little bit? And it's not to say that the right wing doesn't have their
no,
issues.
this isn't,
But it felt like we were never able to get to that question. We were never able to, I want to know if he's going to meet with Hillel. Hillel identifies as a Zionist organization. They're on college campuses. They're the ones that butt heads with SJP and JVP and all that stuff. I want to know if he's going to give them equal time as he's giving to the other groups. But we couldn't get there.
Right.
Because the question was whether he is a member of Hezbollah or not.
Literally, like they boxed out, because basically it excused him from having to actually answer real questions with a follow-up. And every time he would be asked, whether it's like on cable news, honestly, the last time he was really honestly questioned about this was Tim Miller's Globalize the Intifada interview, which was the last time he ever spoke sort of freely on this issue. And people want to say, oh, why is he being asked about Israel? Because people say that those phrases here. Yeah. And like, and that's why I'm the overreacting, whatever. Is someone overreacting in their mind versus overreacting in their behavior? I think are different questions, because if your behavior is based in nothing, or it's just hateful accusations to him, I don't understand how like you think you're going to get to the bottom of anything. Like you just look insane, and that created an excuse for him to not have to actually take questions from anyone who wasn't either like hateful, and then it's like, look how much they hate me, or super friendly. And where like, a Brad Lander who was already sort of like bought in on him. But I've heard that they aren't so close anymore.
I don't know the answer to this, but there's something about how he's not getting a job in the administration. Everyone's like, oh, what does that mean? But also, who freaking knows between the two of them? He still seems to be shilling for him a little bit. I don't know, but the idea,
Well, because it looks really bad if he stops.
It would look very, very bad.
And look, like some people are super cynical about it. Some people are like, oh, tokens are meant to be spent. Yeah. Some like, wow. It could be possible that like, I don't know what happened there. It could really be just like genuinely personal, like or professional. But that like, it gave him an excuse, and I don't know if it was like intentional, but I know I really wanted to speak to him. Like to not have to engage with not people who are like, but people who are skeptical, genuinely skeptical, but not opposed to him necessarily.
He would not meet with Jewish people. Here's what I will say is that
there were a number of people that I found out like the day of the election or the day after that I was like shocked to hear that he had like avoided them, because like he doesn't need to speak to me. But like I would like there to have been a conversation with someone where I'm like, okay, I kind of feel like I'm in that person's ballpark, and you asked enough questions. And instead it was like 3 stupid carousel posts on the JTA Instagram with like non-answers.
That is actually an interesting thing where I was surprised that a video didn't go up with them. If I was JTA, I wouldn't have taken it. I actually would not have posted anything about that. It would have been like, you have to actually sit with us and
I think it was smart that they did that ultimately. Maybe they did say that, and they decided, you know what, this will reveal what, like the fact that
JTA put up a post that was tiny little words that I didn't even get through on the first round.
Exactly.
It took me, I had to go back around it later. But his answers were also vague on all of that.
Exactly.
And you could tell that there was no follow-up. I also wondered if the interview happened on email versus anything. So that's crazy to me.
It was written. Yeah, of course it did.
I thought they were just quoting. I couldn't tell if they were quoting him or not.
I mean, I took it as that was written answers provided.
Okay, so this is the Israel thing in my mind with him was that he likes talking about Israel. If I was him, I would have been.
Okay, this is another question. For years, he said that Palestine and socialism are the cornerstone of his politics and his activism. That's fine, but what's your relationship with that now? Yeah. And how does that play into your administration of New York City, one of the hardest jobs in America?
Yeah. No, 1,000%.
It's literally like,
And so far, all it's equated to is like threats of taking city funds away from Israel, investments in Israel. Right. Then I found out that it was not actually that much. It was only like $20 million or something that they were considering reappropriating into other places, but also
over-indexing. Yeah. It's like why? Okay, so if it's only 20 million, like why are you doing that when it makes so many? You don't think it makes so many people in the city feel unsafe, quote unquote, but like.
But he's clapped her. He knows what he's clapped her. Here's one, the Bibi thing. Him saying that he's going to arrest Bibi.
Like, are you going to arrest Vladimir Putin too? Are you going to arrest every world leader who's been accused of? Well, this is the thing. Like, what does he want to arrest him for?
Because he said that because the ICC ruled that he was a criminal, so if he came here, then somehow that would supersede NYPD and I'm like, who is gonna arrest him? It wouldn't be National Guard. Jessica Tisch ain't doing it. So
that's who he would direct.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. I mean,
well,
that would never happen.
I don't know if I mean, I believe Bibi will come.
But I also have seen that he's planning on coming like January 2nd or something at this point. So there is going to be
he did that on purpose.
There's going to be, he knows that he can't. Also,
and then Trump is going to intervene.
Trump is going to put a bunch of guards right in front of him. So you're going to point to me the NYPD officer who's willing to cut across the Marine SEAL Team 6.
I don't think Mamdani's going to do that because honestly, one thing that kind of like made me more positive during the campaign was that he does have like a little bit of a pragmatic sort of idealistic streak where like he's very firm in what he believes about Israel and everything, but he does seem to actually want to seem good. If you know what I mean?
Is that a bad thing? He seems like he wants to seem good. It seems like a bad
It's not. No, I think he wants Well, I don't know because I like have trouble reconciling so many things he does. Like the fact that he in his acceptance speech was so like kind of antagonistic. Like I didn't really understand why that was a good choice.
And then a couple days later turned around and said that it's very important for New York's mayor to work with Trump.
Yes,
and then
that's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. Like, and then he was pragmatic about it.
Yeah, no.
Maybe turn up the volume. I thought, okay, I at first, then everyone else kind of gave me a different perspective on this. I thought turn up the volume was calling him old. Like, because he can't hear.
No, I did not get that.
That's how I took it.
Oh, that is pretty funny. That would be a very
like, turn up the volume on Fox News.
Oh.
That's what I took it as. Not
they
like.
They should have said, take your meds.
Yeah. Right. Like, that's kind of how I took it. Like, not as a turn up the heat.
Yeah.
Because turn up the heat would be more how people interpreted it.
Maybe he's like, maybe he meant turn up the funk or something. And he was like, screwed up
Turn up the noise. Yeah. Raise the roof.
Yeah, he was like, Donald Trump, raise the roof with me. Help me turn up the volume. And then he gets off there. He's like, pretty good unity.
It seems like he was, because when he went on Fox News, he also like spoke to Trump.
He loves Trump. Trump and him love each other. At the end of the day, he's going to be a one-term mayor because he wants to go to Congress and Senate. We all know that's where he's going to after this. He doesn't want to stay in this situation. I do think. Yeah, I don't think he wants to stay.
I mean, this is a hard job.
Mayor is not fun unless you're Eric Adams. Like, and if you also, if you're bigger than the position, which Mamdani is at this point, Mamdani doesn't give a shit about the Radzar. He is going to look at what he can do after, 3 years from now. I also think that him and his wife are going to get divorced. That's another thing. I think she did not. I think she did not want this.
You know what's so funny?
I think she's worried about getting shot. Dead serious.
Interesting.
If I was in her position, she became big during the year of the most political violence of all time. She's watched.
I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming she gets like threats then.
Tons. And until now, she probably didn't get much. This is also.
You know what's so funny? You said that you think they're going to get divorced. I literally texted someone while they were on stage. I was like, they have big future divorce energy. Mm-hmm. She didn't seem like super, but then I'm like, okay, but she could just be awkward. Like most charitable view on this, she could just be feeling awkward. It's very stressful. And then I also felt similarly about his speech and how he kind of sounded like a little angry. I was like, maybe it's like a lot of adrenaline. You're really anxious. Like I do try to give people the benefit of the doubt because you can't you have to kind of interpret everything through whatever.
I need to, on that point about her, because this is an actual fear that I have. I think that people are going to start attacking her and it's going to look terrible. This is where I think we are going next as like the Jewish community. This is actually the ADL tie-in kind of with the over-indexing and with the heightening and with the exaggeration of it. Yeah. I saw that there were posts about, I've seen 2 posts about her or like news stories about her in like the NY Post like universe, whether it was them or it was other people, so I do think that the Jewish community or the extreme right who controls a lot of messaging from the Jewish community is looking for other things to attack him on. And they've now moved on to her. And I don't think if you think that Mamdani is beloved, his wife right now, probably
they think she's very chic.
They love her. And they also don't want like the shittiness to kind of, if we treat her like we treated Miss Rachel, like that's a problem. And that is kind of like where we're going on this.
So with that, I saw what you're saying. for me, it's not necessarily about like what they do as how they do it. Like
Yes.
you can ask questions, like there are legitimate questions to be asked or opinions to be expressed, but that doesn't mean you need to attack someone like, however, and swarm them. Because I saw a story where like she had messaged the account Psy Swoon, do you know, on Twitter.
This was another thing that I saw. Yeah, trending.
And on November like 3rd, I think it was 2023. So like a month after October 7th, or I don't know what the date was, whatever. Basically a month after October 7th. And she had said like, don't like talk about the genocide, like direct your energy to talking about the genocide. And there was, look, like you can say what you want about how Israel conducted its war operations in the long term, but in
nothing was happening.
In November in like early November of 2023, like there was no genocide. There was no question that like it was a war operation. Like you can't, they didn't even go in for like a few days after. And you also had Mamdani calling it a genocide a few days after October 7th. Why do I keep wanting to say like the wrong date?
But her getting called out for that this week was like,
but then it's like, okay, I think asking her that is like a bit of a waste of time. But if you're going to ask him,
which makes sense,
why did you say it was a genocide then? Like, how did you know that? How did you form that conclusion? Yes, that's a real question. And then people go after her and
you just get mauled.
This is the other like, okay, I think he is a lot like Trump, not because of like their personal similarities as much as like the psychological effect they have on their
and that they're both paid off by Israel. Yeah, you heard it here. No, I hear what you're saying is that there's an obsession with him. I covered the inauguration with Kalshi.
Really?
Yeah, and let me tell you right now, that was one of the worst situations I've ever been in. Just the vibe there. If you are super into politics in a way where you're traveling over to DC, buying a $500 hotel room and staying the night to go to the inauguration in the middle of the snow, that's an obsession.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that the Mamdani side has that same level 100%. Of obsession. If you are attending any of this stuff, it's like a little bit like,
I mean, did you see exactly like it's also like the way they attack and defend them. Yeah. Swifties do this too. It's like it's like a cult leader status. And did you see that thing in the New York Times about how like Mamdani's campaign gave people like a social life? It's like the same way Trump rallies give people a social life. That's what this is about. It's about community, whatever the reason for finding it is.
Can I say, I knew so many of the comics that were in that thing. It was the funny, like front page faces on it. It was very, very funny. And I'm like, that makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of sense what I'm doing. The Mamdani monitor.
Oh my God.
Jewish or anti-Semitic?
It's neither. It's just like a Hillel Hashem.
Yeah, there is Hillel Hashem.
It's so stupid. It's like, first of all, look, to me, it's just like long list of things that the ADL has discredited itself. I personally don't think that they are the organization. Like I wouldn't quote them now.
No.
I would in the past have quoted their statistics and their, reports or whatever, but now I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And that is a shame because they were a legitimate institution and now they're a joke.
My biggest issue with them was that the ADL was like the most Jewish organization of all time. It was known as like and the best part about that was that they helped other religions.
Yes.
That if you had a keffiyeh on, if you had a Muslim hair covering, if you had a cross, if you needed to take off this day for a holiday, whatever, and your religious workplace issues were a problem, the ADL would show up and they would help you. And they, during the Trump administration, gutted those initiatives completely and continue to gut it. They only do Jewish stuff now.
But it's not Jewish stuff, it's Israel.
And that's the thing is that
is it Jewish to allow, let Elon get away with a Roman salute?
God, that's crazy. It's also crazy to release the Mamdani monitor after ignoring that stuff. And especially also ignoring the fact that Jonathan Greenblatt, who's the president, CEO, president, what's his
He's the head of the ADL.
Head of the ADL. Yeah. Very good friends with Jared Kushner. Famously, these are both very wealthy Nepo kids around the same age who know each other and hung in the same circles. During the Trump administration, this went from an apolitical organization to a very hard right-leaning organization, just in vibe. Mm-hmm. And then it slowly, over time, the vibe started to, the rules or the infrastructure started to match the vibe. Mm-hmm. And the biggest problem with the ADL is that they are one of the most vital organizations when it comes to Jewish safety. Because on the regional level, if I'm a synagogue, I always bring this up, if I'm a synagogue in the middle of Kentucky and a Klan rally shows up at my door, I call the ADL, they get me on the phone with the mayor, they give me security, I'm on CNN, I'm with the senator and all that stuff. You know, that's what they are great for. And on the regional level, they do such good work. But then you have this fucking guy turning around and ruining the organization. The whole thing. He loves being on TV. The ADL should actually not have anyone that goes on TV almost. No. They should be like, the only people that should go on TV as part of the ADL are the people that they represent in situations of chaos.
Yeah, or you have someone who is very not politicized. Like they have to, like the point of it is that it remains not politicized, but they can't do that. And Jared Kushner's friends, he also can't even keep his comments open. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, if you can't have your comments open because you have that's the relationship you've created with audiences, then you have a real problem and you shouldn't represent this organization.
It's like so accurate. So in the beginning, I guess like first Trump administration until now, you know, as he started to like gut this stuff and make it more just like Israel focused, October 7th happens. Jonathan Greenblatt made the more aggressive stance of really removing any nuance at all from the protests and how to deal with the protests. The issue with the protests was that overwhelmingly, most protesters, totally fine, absolutely totally fine, legitimate issues that we had to bring up. And not all of them wanted to, you know, bring the death to the Israelis and death to the Jews. You would never know that if you were looking at the ADL's handling of what they were defining as problematic and not problematic. And they added so much fucking tinder to an already explosive situation. On the college campuses, you had school administration and you had NYPD at certain places taking their marching orders, which maybe not the best choice of term, but they're taking the marching orders from the ADL on how to handle this and who to label what and who to label problematic. And once again, it got to another issue that we have with Mamdani here, where there were legitimate questions that should have been brought up. You know, from the river to the seas chant, I don't have an issue with because most kids don't understand. They don't get it. And there's no whatever. The Intifada chant, that's an actual problem.
It's a historic thing.
It harkens back to an actual time. We weren't able to talk about the protest leaders and how the toxic environment and how the vibe shifted. We weren't able to have that conversation because Jonathan Greenblatt on the other side, like Mamdani situation, just labeled it all anti-Semitic.
The real problem is that the representation of Jewish people has been overshadowed by Israel and by Israel issues. And so people, obviously Israel and the Jews, like not necessarily like the government of Israel, but like Israel, the land, that country historically has a tie to the Jews, and people do not, and that's real. But this like idea, like you can't ask people to you can't ask the average person to understand like the nuances of these definitions of Zionism, you know, different types of Zionism, what the Jewish connection is, like all this history. You can't expect that. But Greenblatt and others have made Jews synonymous with Israel, the government of today. And that has put all of us basically in jeopardy. And and that's really like where they went wrong, when they made it all about Israel and where you stand on Israel, because now the ADL cannot stand for anti-Semitism or for Jews. It can't stand for Jews. It can only stand for Israel.
Yeah.
People don't trust it.
There's also an issue where it's not even Israel. It's like the Bibi side, like the pro-war side.
That's the other piece.
It's like it's not because
it's the current majority.
Yeah. Is it even the majority? Or is it the guy who's in charge of the foreign ministry dollars?
It's literally like the current coalition.
Yeah.
Current majority coalition.
Which is bound to break. I mean,
which is a plurality.
Yeah. Which is so fucking stupid. Can you imagine if being in politics and you were running for office and like, I think I heard this on the Ezra Klein show described as this. Imagine if you lost, but then you also got to stay around. Because that's what the Knesset is. The Knesset is full of organizations and full of like different blocks of people who couldn't get the main block, but then they just were like, well, you get to stay here. And that's how like Mayor Kahana exists and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right.
Makes complete sense.
They have a total mess over there. I can't.
It's hilarious. Yeah. I actually think that the way to punish the Palestinians would be to make them do consensus. Give Hamas.
Like, okay, you want to see how great it is?
Yeah. You guys do it. Let's have 400 different Hamas members running for their own, government out there.
Right. And also like trying to deal with like any any government bureaucratic office in that country.
Insane.
Then I'm like, oh, you think they're organized? Like, I don't understand how they get away with stuff like the Hezbollah pager thing when like you can't even like get a passport photo.
Good luck getting an X-ray in the middle of the week there.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. It's just we're off today.
Israel starts to become like the vibe. This is the way that I've interpreted this always, has been that Israel's foreign ministry, like every other fucking foreign ministry, obviously pays influencers and stuff like that. Like it just is what America does that, Qatar does that, Ireland does it. They all do. There's all money set aside for tourism and whatever.
Yes.
This money went towards very specific, pro-Bibi, very right-wing, aggressively toxic, anti-Palestinian people because Bibi was controlling that money. The issue is that same vibe and toxic group of people seemingly were like in cahoots with the ADL so frequently. They were at the same fundraisers. They were speaking at the same events. I'm pretty sure Zach Sage Fox hosted the ADL fundraiser last year. So it's like there was this weird, like if the ADL is supposed to remain pragmatic, like law scholars doing justice and remaining apolitical, then you had the most political entity of all time, Bibi's government, Bibi's foreign ministry government, who's paying off for some version of propaganda that everyone does.
Yeah.
And that was what was also influencing these things. Yeah. And it just was like too many. But what I'm saying that is that this same group of people who were so bad at mushing up the Israel messaging, who did such a bad job of fighting misinformation, all that billions of dollars that went into the ADL, if I hear another fucking person ask me to donate money to an internet task force or a misinformation, whatever, it goes into the wind. It's just farted into the breeze. It doesn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
That same
no one
group
even
of
knows
people,
like what they should even be thinking of doing.
Not even. It shocked me that they didn't have. There wasn't a like alumni. Sorry, this is actually an aside thing. I'm not going to get into that. But so this same group of toxic people that were so bad at messaging, 20 hostages get out live, and what do they immediately do? The toxic influencers, they immediately move their grift over to Mamdani.
Oh, yeah.
It was not even just like in theory. It was literally Zach Sage Fox was hired to do Mamdani's messaging. If you look at the collaborations of people, it was, Michael Rappaport and Ari Ackerman, who I actually don't have an issue with Ari Ackerman. Michael Rappaport's been nice to me. I have no issue with Michael Rappaport, but these were the same people that were brought on for doing the Israel stuff that moved over and did the Mamdani stuff. It was the Hot Girls for Cuomo people. Were also people that were shilling. I'm pretty sure Emily Austin, I have to read exactly what it is, but she is a consultant for the Israel's permanent mission to the UN. So this is literally someone that was hired by Israel for consulting duties that was then brought on to help with the Cuomo campaign, who then decided to create Hot Girls for Cuomo, which we all know Hot Girls is what got Cuomo into this situation to begin with.
Yeah, then they were doing Hot Girls for Capitalism, and I was like, you better not be doing that for free.
No.
If I find out
they better be getting paid. That's
you
so
better
funny.
be shilling for money, I swear. But okay, a few things on that. Okay. One, I have a question.
Yeah.
Was it true that they were really being paid $7,000 a post?
I think that some of them did get this. I want to say this is all a guess based on like what I know on this stuff, right? $7,000. That may include flights. That may include hotels. That may include other stuff. Was the Israeli ministry doing trips and were they paying people for posts? Yes. $7,000 I think was an exaggeration. I do think that there are people that were big enough potentially that were getting $7,000. I don't think that that's crazy. We saw the trips.
Not crazy for the numbers.
Not crazy for the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay,
so maybe. We just don't know.
7,000.
Okay.
I mean, it's the government. They have a lot of money.
I think they can afford it even more.
I'm pretty sure they were getting paid. They were definitely
getting paid.
They were definitely getting trips. And I know for a fact
trips are probably free, but were they getting paid?
I think that they were getting paid for posts. I don't think it was $7,000, though. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them were getting $7,000.
Well,
what I would say.
Okay, here's my question.
I heard that Zach Sage Fox made like $500,000 million on the Cuomo campaign. That's what I heard. And I want to say that I heard that. So
well, Bill Ackman just
but Bill
that money away.
If I
Hashem.
Oh, God,
we should have like a bell.
Yeah. The Chil Hashem, the little bell.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. We're going.
I just have more things on that. Yeah. Okay. These groups are like fellow travelers. I don't think there's like a grand conspiracy. It's just like they all agree. They know they're going to like use each other. But the problem is that our people and like Alana Zajac and like other people of like this sort of normal, not even normal, just sort of a more like stance that's not just like as like harsh. There's no like we don't have a connection in terms of like, we don't have like a chat going where we're like, oh, we should all talk about this and we should like each other's posts and like amplify each other. And we don't have like talking points that we're saying we're going to do. And there's no one directing us, us and the people who are like-minded. Although I can think of like 25 off the top of my head that I could put us in a group chat and say, oh, we can be each other's like support group. I could do that, but there's no like contingency.
Why is there? I mean, first of all, there's no
because
money
who's
in
going to run
no
it?
money in being
but also, like, who's going to run it? Me?
With the group
like
chat?
you?
I'll
no,
run
but
it.
Okay, like
I'll run
it.
Let me tell you.
This is the thing. Because we wouldn't be working on behalf of anyone. So there's no like spark to make it become like, oh, we're going to all be brought together. Like we could just decide we will, but like there's no like constituency for this.
Yeah, I think okay, so
there is a constituency, there's no like
plan.
Organization. No one's organized.
I was usually kicked out of that, like this thing called the Brigade, which is like
I heard
Jewish
about the
media.
Brigade.
The Brigade sucks. The Brigade, I will tell you, one of the moments.
Only bad things I've heard.
There was a moment during the after October 7th where things were very, very bad. I think it was either something bad happened with the Bebas family or it was when those hostages got shot by the IDF accidentally.
Oh my God.
It was a bad, bad day. And I remember feeling personally very, very sad. And then I looked at my phone and had a notification from the Brigade. And it was a message in the Brigade from Patricia Heaton. And I remember it was a moment of genuine laughter when I just was like, why are we taking messaging advice from the wife, from everybody who loves Raymond, who isn't even Jewish? Like, the fucking Bebas kids got brought back and they were like, and it was the wrong bodies. And we were like, you know who's going to handle the messaging for this?
Deborah Messing.
Deborah Messing is going to handle the messaging for this. But this is the issue is that I've seen the infrastructure. I know that anytime anything would happen, there would be the ADL, would go in there with their ADL reps and they'd be like, here's the messaging we want for this, this, and this. There is no concern because there has not been a setup. There should be a setup for that.
Well, the thing is, like, we don't need
Brigade.
We don't even need that. You just need like people to sort of be seichel. Yeah, you have to be people who are like just sort of support. I think about it as more as like a support group. Like, am I crazy? Like it doesn't have to be. This is the other thing. Everyone acts like they're fighting a war. Like they're fighting a war, and I'm thinking, I'm like, my grandparents were in Auschwitz. And like people are like, I feel unsafe. I'm being called a Zio. And it's like, no, I don't like it, but I'm not unsafe. I'm safe. Like, probably, thank God I'm safe. Like, what? Like, I don't want to be over dramatizing this for this experience for me. Like, it's
the over-indexing. It's the Upper East Side moms and Mamdani.
It's like, do you really think? And it's not to say people don't experience anti-Semitism. Like, my mom was wearing a Jewish star on the Upper East Side. She had some guy like make like a face, like something to her. It's not that you can't experience stuff. Like, some guy got beaten up because he had a kippah. Like, these things happen. But if you are going to be sitting in your apartment feeling like you are, maybe it's generational trauma, like that they feel like they're going to have a pogrom happen to them there. Like, it's not helping.
I mean, I will say this, and then I want to move on from this because I have one last question.
Yeah, sorry.
We are closer. I understand my grandmother's story more than I think my parents understood my grandmother's story, is what I would say.
Interesting.
I think my parents did grow up in a little bit of
more bubble.
Safer. Yeah,
it was safer.
It is what it is. I know for a fact. And the thing is, there's college kids right now that I guarantee you relate way more to my grandmother than I do to my grandmother.
100%.
And I've met these kids. I've talked to these kids. They've actually, it's terrifying.
Last thing I'm not saying it's not that any Jew isn't safe. Like, there are lots of Jews who are very unsafe, but I'm not the person who is unsafe. So I'm not going to be like fighting as if I'm like running for my life. Yeah. In that way. I'm not going to speak that way.
You know what happens when you do that? You end up making a fucking Mamdani monitor and going, it is our duty to just also the messaging they know. It was, I don't know how anyone saw that and didn't think this is targeting. This is targeting the most prominent Muslim person.
What it did is it actually discredited him it discredited the idea that he could be bad in the eyes of many Jews. Who were like, no, everything I'm seeing is just outrageous. So I'm going to just believe him.
Yeah. Jonathan Greenblatt needs to step down and undo that. Here's last question I got for you. Okay. Yeah. Is Josh Shapiro too Jewish to be president?
He's not too Jewish. Well, here's the thing. I don't think this country would elect a Jew right now. Unfortunately, I don't think it's that he's too Jewish or too pro-Israel. He's like not too pro-Israel. I think none of those things have to do anything. I think that he shouldn't be president because he is not off the cuff enough. And I don't think he inspires like the same like fervor.
Who else in the Democratic Party has like his ability? I think he's a better speaker than like most of them, which is a question of like
he needs to stop impersonating Obama. Okay, I'll tell you I'll tell you who is more compelling to me.
Yeah.
AOC is more compelling. I'm not saying she should be the nominee, but I'm saying
they're never gonna get enough people to vote for her.
Not in the not this year, not in 2028. Really? But I just think she's a more compelling politician. She just is. James Tallarico, more compelling, and he's in Texas. Who else? Wes Moore.
Do you think that there will be a Jewish president first or a woman president first?
A woman president, a Republican woman.
Ivanka Trump is actually...
That's actually what I've thought for a bit.
I actually do. I thought that after... Okay, this is hostages get released or whatever. She did that little media tour and stuff like that.
Yep.
Looked real presidential. Looked real presidential.
She's also running... She's in charge of running the White House UFC lawn fight next year to celebrate America's 250th anniversary.
Fucking love it.
So, like, she's... I always thought, like, Trump would not, like, be cool with, like, not handing it off to...
No.
Like, another Trump. Yeah. So I think she's, and John Jr. is like a moron.
No, they're not. It also, I think that they're going to do impressions of Donald Trump that are not going to sit well with anyone versus people look at Ivanka and it's like, she's our daughter, like all that stuff. Also, I want to say, by the way, Democrats should have done all that shit. They should have done UFC lawn fight. They should have put a basketball thing. Anyways,
they'd be like, what is this rope called?
Yeah. We're not good. They should put a pickleball court in there. I think all the stuff that Donald Trump, the president should go to every Super Bowl. The president should go to every World Series. The president should go to every Olympics. The president should go to every parade. Sliwa, when Curtis Sliwa was talking about how the mayor's going to go to all the parades, the president should have done all that stuff. I don't know why the Democrats were so bad at that. I remember when during the campaign, Trump was sitting courtside at a UFC thing. And I'm like, why the fuck isn't Kamala Harris at the same thing sitting across from him? Also, clapping when whoever comes out.
Why weren't the Democrats waiting on like the bread lines and the SNAP lines with food trucks?
Why was it
fed lunch from the Democratic National Committee?
Because they were too busy tripping over.
They can't think of these ideas. That's why.
I said this about Jonathan Greenblatt. Say it about they can't bend over and tie their shoes without shitting on themselves. This has been the Jew York Times. Sammy, thank you so much for coming on and talking. Is there anything you want to plug? Anything like that?
Listen to the Morning Announcements podcast every morning. 5 minutes. You get all your headlines, and they're funny, and you get all your news, and you don't have to think about it for the rest of the day unless you want to. Follow me on Instagram at Sammy, on Substack, TikTok, Sami Sage Says, and Betches, obviously Betches News.
Betches, I like Betches.
Yeah, thank you.
November 20th, I'll be in Boston. Then December 7th, I'll be in Chicago. Milwaukee Jewish Federation, I'm going to be giving a talk on social media, sports, and the Jewish community, and anything else I'm doing. Oh yeah, wait, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. We're doing the JCCs out there. We're bringing That's So Jewish and Jewish or Anti-Semitic, the 2 Jewish game shows that I run. Get your tickets now, bye, guys. See you later.
Bye.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Fun.
Thank you so